Hi, I'm Rachel. Just came from laying on the bed with Missy over there. My iPad's right below her. We were watching booktube videos together. But now I'm here to do an author's answer video. The author's answer series was started by J.D. Archer and his writing group, where they pose and answer reading and writing related questions to one another. Uh, and I have been answering them sequentially one per month for the past couple of years. And I will link to JD's playlist and my own playlist down below. Anywho, I am up to question number 35, which is, what do you think of movie novelizations? By which I mean movies that are turned into novels. And on its surface, I feel like they don't serve much of a purpose, do they? The fact that gets touted around is that there are far more movie watchers out there than there are book readers, so they're going to be likely much more entertained by the movie and not feel the need to pick up a book that will give them basically the same information, I guess. I don't know, it gets a little tricky. I've been known to pick up the Star Wars novelizations, and I really like them. I have a story actually when in college we were encouraged at one point at a meeting to read an excerpt of something we were currently reading for fun. And I had the Revenge of the Sith novelization, and the movie is so despised that I was reading it and people were laughing at how awful it was, and I was hamming it up, but I actually liked it. It wasn't high literature, but I liked it for what it was, and in fact, it might have smoothed out some of the rough edges of the movie and given a little more dimension to what was going on, and certainly, you're able to go more into the thoughts of the characters. And Star Wars is interesting, I guess, on its surface as well because, the franchise spawned a large contingent of books based off of the series, but technically that's different than novelizations of the actual movies. But that's a big sci-fi thing, really, where franchises, both, TV and books, they spawn like comics and other books and that sort of thing to continue the story. And there is probably a deep enough fan base to get that going. And really, the only major movie novelizations I can think of are science fiction and fantasy. Another one that comes to mind, although it's a little trickier, I guess, is Contact by Carl Sagan. From what I remember of researching this, he wanted to start the project as a movie, and it wasn't able to gain wings. So then he wrote the novel, and then from there it was turned into a movie in the mid-90s. And I know he was on set for a bit of the movie, but I think he might have ultimately not liked it very much. But for me, I personally think that the movie is much better than the book. I don't know, I mean, I could be very biased. I watched the movie first, and it quickly became one of my favorite movies. And perhaps I have a very unscientific connection to the movie because what moved me the most about it was its exploration of faith. Not religious faith necessarily. In fact, Ellie is anti-religious, and I don't believe she really becomes religious through her experience. It's just that through her experience she finds faith in the connectedness of human beings and the sort of earnest hope that we're not alone out there. Or, she always had that hope, but she was sort of able to connect it more to a faith and a hope that she didn't really have before. And the movie had a lot of wonderful heart that I just don't think the book really had. I mean, it went more into, the science, of course, and also philosophy, like about nations coming together to help each other. I believe this was written during the Cold War in the Soviet Union, so it was a nice message, of course, for nations to come together across those lines, but I just felt like the movie had a lot more heart. Maybe it's easier for all of us to grasp onto more personal connections, where really in the movie it was Ellie on her own for a lot of it, and everyone else was more in the background. But I do have one example of a movie that I think should have been a book instead. A weird situation. I'm talking about the much maligned Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, The Crimes of Grindelwald. which, yes, did not work very well as a movie. It basically had plots all over the place, and what it made me think of immediately after, coming out of that theater and clearing my dizzy head is that J.K. Rowling doesn't have experience, I think, with, writing screenplays. She has experience with novels. And in a novel, she could have taken all of these various plot threads and had the space to flesh them out. But instead, she had to cram all of them into like a 2.5 hour long movie, and it just didn't work because there just wasn't enough time to expand them and to, make them breathe and make them relatable to the audience. So as a book reader and also someone who enjoys some good movies and television, perhaps it's about knowing your strengths in storytelling. And that's the route you should take. So that about covers it for me now. I will leave some links to movies and books and reviews I've done of things down below. Kind of felt like appropriate timing to get to this video since we just had the Oscars last weekend. And I have some ideas for some fun other videos coming down the pike in February, so stay tuned. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.